So we are going to go through how to find the missing leg length of a right triangle. So we've already done the hypotenuse, and now we're going to look at how to find the leg. So it says we're going to label every side first, A, B, or C. And remember, C is the side opposite of the right angle. The other sides don't really matter. So if I just draw a little sketch here of a right triangle, put my square in the corner to show my right angle. This side has to be C, the side opposite of the right angle, which is called the hypotenuse, and the legs are these two sides. And A and B are interchangeable. It doesn't matter which one I choose, okay? So we're going to always start by labeling the sides. So if I go ahead and look at this one, I see two sides of 13 and 12. I can see right away that the 13 is across from the right angle, so this is my C. And then the 12 has to be one of my legs. I'm going to label that A, and then I don't know what B is. So this is what I'm trying to figure out because I don't know that length yet. So right under where I have the Pythagorean theorem, I'm going to plug these numbers in. So instead of A squared, I'm going to write 12 squared, and then I'm going to write plus B squared equals, instead of C squared, I'm going to write 13 squared. So all I've done was substituted in the numbers that I know for the letters that they go with. Okay? So now I'm trying to find what the letter B equals, right? I'm trying to find what B equals. So I'm going to simplify this, and it's just like solving equations. I'm going to try to get the B or the B squared all by itself, okay? So 12 times 12, I'm going to write 144 plus B squared equals 169. This is super similar to when we found the hypotenuse. It's just a little bit different because now our variable is on this side instead of over here by itself like it was before, but that's okay. So to get B all by itself, I'm going to draw my line. I need to get rid of this 144 over here, this one positive 144. So to get rid of that, I'm going to subtract 144 from both sides. When I do that, these get to cancel, and I'm left with B squared equals 169 minus 144. I'm going to use my calculator. I end up with 25. Some of you right now are going to say, I know what it is, Miss Moore, and that's good. So the last step here would be to take the square root of B squared and the square root of 25. So when I take the square root of B squared, the exponent and the square root cancel each other out. So I'm just left with B. And then the square root of 25 says what number times itself gives me 25? That would be 5. Okay, so do a couple more examples here. So again, first thing we're going to do is label the sides. So I'm going to find my hypotenuse first. That's the one across from the right angle. So that's right here. And then my other two sides, A and B, I could switch those around. So I know this one's called X, but we're just going to call it B instead because we're just going to keep it nice and simple for ourselves. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug in the two numbers that I know, or substitute in 9 and 14. So A squared, so that would be 9 squared plus B squared, that's the other leg, equals 14 squared. So my next step, I'm going to simplify. So instead of 9 squared, I'm going to write 81, because 9 times 9 is 81, plus B squared equals 14 squared. I got to pull out my calculator. I can't remember that one. I think it's 180 something. 196. So 196. So now I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to solve for B. So I'm trying to get B all by itself. So what I need to do next is get rid of this 81. So I'm going to subtract 81 from both sides. I'm left with B squared over here. And then 196 minus 81, I have my calculator up still, is 115. Now, I know my perfect squares pretty well, so I know that this is going to be a decimal answer, but that's okay, not a problem. So my last step here is take the square root of B squared. So those cancel out, and then I'm going to take the square root of 115. And when I take the square root of 115, I get this long decimal, 10.7238052, or just B equals, I'm just going to write 10.7. And to double check your answer, if you're finding the leg, it should always be smaller than the hypotenuse. So 10.7 is smaller than 14 up here. So I know that that could be a possible answer. If I got like 17, that can't be the answer because we know the hypotenuse has to be the longest side. Okay, last example here. So this one they've already labeled A for us. So I'm just going to label B and C. So remember my hypotenuse is the one across from the right angle. Then we'll call 9B. They already told us the other one is A. So I'm going to plug in what I already know. I don't know A squared. Remember, that's a leg. It doesn't really matter if I'm solving for A or B. Both of them are legs. Plus 9 squared equals 12 squared. So all I've done is taken these values and put them into my formula. So my next step, I'm going to simplify. So instead of 9 squared, I'm going to write 81. And instead of 12 squared, I'm going to write 144. That's just 12 times 12 and 9 times 9. To solve for A, I need to get rid of this plus 81. So I'm going to subtract 81 from both sides. I'm left with A squared equals 144 minus 81. Use a calculator if you need to, is 63. Oh, that's so close to a perfect square that I know. 64, right, is a perfect square, 8 times 8. So my last step here is take the square root of A squared and the square root of 63. My exponent and my square root cancel, so I'm left with A equals the square root of 63 was going to be 7.937, so 7.9 about. So that's going to be the length of this side, 7.9. So those are a few examples of how to find the leg length of a right triangle.